Have you ever felt like the universe should be speaking to you, but all you hear is silence? Like everyone else is getting signs, synchronicities, and divine downloads, while you're stuck refreshing your feed, wondering if you missed your moment? Here's the truth no one talks about. The universe is always speaking. It's not withholding. It's not ignoring you. It's broadcasting constantly. The real question is, are you tuned in to the right frequency? See, most people think hearing divine guidance means waiting for a loud voice or some dramatic sign. But that's not how the universe works. The voice of truth, it's subtle, gentle. It speaks in nudges, in gut feelings, in stillness. And if you're caught in overthinking, anxiety, or noise, you'll miss it every time. But once you do this one thing correctly, once you shift your state from noise to presence, everything changes. The whispers get clearer, the signs become obvious, and life begins to feel divinely orchestrated, not randomly chaotic. In this message, we're not just going to talk about what the universe sounds like, we're going to show you how to hear it for real. Let's begin. The signal's already there. You just need to remember how to listen. You are not the noise in your head. Not every thought that speaks within you is you. Much of what passes through your mind is inherited programming. Echoes of culture, conditioning, survival instincts, and fear. It's loud, persistent, and convincing. But beneath all that, there is a voice that doesn't shout. It doesn't demand your loyalty. It doesn't speak in loops or rehearsed arguments. It simply knows. This voice doesn't come from effort. It arises when you stop trying to force clarity and start letting go of the layers that distort it. You don't need to silence your mind by force. You need to disidentify with the parts that never truly belong to you. Peel away the need to prove, to perform, to be certain. What's left is the voice beneath the voice, the one that existed before doubt, before expectation, before noise. This chapter invites you into a sacred pause, not to think more clearly, but to hear more honestly, to recognize that the ego's voice is reactive and restless, but the soul's voice is calm and ancient. Once you begin to distinguish the two, life becomes less about seeking answers and more about recognizing what's always been true. You were never disconnected, you were just entangled in echoes, and the moment you realize this, you don't need to find your way back. You simply remember where home is, within. Before anything transforms, it trembles. The moment your soul begins to awaken, everything in your life that was built on fear, performance, or illusion starts to shift. What once felt stable may now feel shaky. Relationships, routines, even parts of your identity may no longer fit. And it's tempting to panic, to interpret this discomfort as a sign that something is wrong. But what if the chaos isn't a curse, but a calling? Divine truth rarely arrives with a neat to-do list. More often it enters like a storm, not to destroy you, but to clear space for the real you. What you're feeling isn't failure. It's friction, the sacred kind, the kind that signals a soul shedding what no longer resonates. Disruption is not punishment, it's invitation. Holy disorder is how the false gets unraveled, so the true can emerge. You weren't meant to stay wrapped in structures that stifle your spirit just because they feel safe. Sometimes things fall apart not because you messed up, but because you woke up. This chapter invites you to stop resisting the unraveling, to see it not as the end, but the sacred beginning. Discomfort isn't always a red flag. Sometimes it's confirmation that you're finally aligned with something real. Let the pieces fall. Let the patterns break. This is not chaos. This is initiation. And on the other side of every divine disruption is freedom. The universe is not random. It's responsive. What you see out there is rarely separate from what you carry in here. People, patterns, and even the delays that frustrate you. They're not just obstacles or coincidences. They're mirrors, reflections of your current frequency, beliefs, and internal assumptions. This doesn't mean you're to blame for every challenge. It means you're being invited into awareness. When you meet resistance, it might not be because life is against you. It might be because life is trying to reveal you to yourself. You don't change your reality by pushing harder against what's outside. You change it by aligning more deeply with truth inside. The mirror doesn't lie, it reflects. If a relationship keeps triggering the same wound, ask, what part of me still believes this is normal? If opportunities feel delayed, ask, Have I truly prepared to receive them? If you're stuck in cycles, ask, what belief am I still agreeing with that's creating this rhythm? The world will reflect your clarity, your confusion, your fear, and your freedom, whichever one you're living from most. This chapter invites you to shift from victimhood to stewardship, to stop fighting the mirror and instead tune your inner world to the vision you desire. Because once your frequency changes, the reflection must follow. You're not just in the world, you're projecting into it. Calibrate the source, and the whole picture changes. The soul doesn't walk in straight lines. It dances in spirals. We've been taught to believe that progress must look linear, step by step, forward only, no detours. But spiritual truth doesn't follow human logic. It flows according to a higher intelligence, one that prioritizes alignment over appearance, essence over efficiency. Sometimes what looks like a delay is actually a detour into depth. Sometimes what feels like backtracking is really an invitation to retrieve a part of yourself you left behind. The divine doesn't just guide you from point A to point B, it prepares you to become who you need to be along the way. The mind craves predictability. It wants plans, guarantees, and outcomes that make sense. But the soul trusts timing, alignment, and the unseen. Your path may not make sense on paper, but it will resonate in your spirit, and that resonance is your compass. This chapter invites you to surrender the pressure to make your journey look successful or explainable. You're not falling behind, you're being rerouted by grace. Intuitive redirection is not failure. It's faith in motion. When you stop demanding a straight line and start following the energy of alignment, you discover a truth that frees you. The path was never supposed to be perfect, only true. Let it curve, let it spiral, let it lead, because even when it doesn't look like progress, it is. Alignment is not just about bold leaps forward, it's also about brave refusals. We often think spiritual growth is all about saying yes, yes to purpose, yes to opportunity, yes to divine guidance. But the truth is, your no is just as sacred. In fact, sometimes it's holier. Every time you say no to what drains you, to what confuses you, to what no longer reflects who you are becoming, you are not being difficult. You are being devoted. Boundaries aren't walls to keep love out. They are gates that protect what's sacred within. A holy no is not rejection. It is redirection. It's a way of telling your soul, I hear you. I honor you. I will not betray you for temporary approval. When you stop needing everyone to understand and start needing only to be aligned, something powerful happens. Clarity returns. You no longer waste energy performing, explaining, or tolerating. You begin to make space for only what is true. This chapter reframes boundaries not as separation, but as spiritual clarity. Because God doesn't only show up in your yes, He shows up in the strength it takes to say no. Let your yes mean something. Let your no be sacred. Because every aligned no clears space for a divine yes you've been praying for, one that doesn't cost your peace to receive. Your body isn't just a vessel, it's a tuning fork for the divine. You can't hear subtle spiritual truth if your nervous system is screaming for safety. When you're in fight, flight, or freeze, your inner ear, the one that hears God, shuts down. Survival doesn't make room for stillness. And without stillness, divine guidance becomes nearly impossible to receive, let alone trust. That's why emotional regulation isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. Calming your nervous system is how you clear the static so your soul can speak. Stillness is not only a state of mind, it's a state of the body. A regulated nervous system is the quiet soil where sacred whispers can finally land. This chapter reminds you that spiritual clarity isn't just about more faith or better prayer. Sometimes it starts with taking a breath, grounding, drinking water, going for a walk, speaking gently to yourself when you feel overwhelmed. Your body remembers trauma, but it also remembers peace. And when you give it what it needs, safety, softness, pause, your channel to the divine reopens. God doesn't shout over chaos. He waits in calm. So if you've been struggling to hear, don't assume you're disconnected. You may just be dysregulated. Come back to your breath. Come back to your body. Because once the body feels safe, the soul feels heard. And when the soul is heard, the voice becomes clear. The world celebrates what's big, loud, and fast, but the divine moves in what's small, quiet, and slow. Spiritual growth isn't always measured in breakthroughs or grand revelations. Sometimes it's in the breath you took instead of reacting, the word you didn't say, the moment you paused, softened, listened. The ego overlooks these things. It wants applause, impact, and proof. But the soul knows better. The soul understands that small shifts create seismic change. God often wraps the miraculous in the ordinary, a whisper instead of thunder, a nudge instead of a command, a seed instead of a spotlight. And those who are spiritually awake don't wait for drama to feel divine. They have trained their eyes to see the sacred in the subtle. This chapter is an invitation to slow down and reawaken your reverence for the little things, the nudges, the quiet knowing, the moment of peace that passes without announcement. Because those small moments, they're not small at all. They're seeds, and what feels insignificant now is often the beginning of something holy later. Spiritual maturity isn't chasing more, it's recognizing what's already enough and honoring it. Let the world chase spectacle. You listen for the whisper, trust the seed, treasure the seemingly invisible signs, because the smallest yes, whispered in alignment, echoes louder in eternity than the biggest performance done out of ego. The sacred is subtle, and smallness is never insignificant to God. You will forget. You'll spiral into doubt, reach for old patterns, and lose your center. That's not failure, that's being human. Spiritual life was never about flawless progress. It was never about reaching some perfect, uninterrupted state of clarity. The real miracle isn't in never drifting, it's in always returning. This chapter reminds you that the rhythm of awakening isn't a straight climb. It's a spiral of remembering. Again and again you'll wander. Again and again you'll come back. And that return, that's the victory. Return to the whisper that calms your chaos. Return to the stillness that clears the static. Return to the knowing that doesn't need proof. Each time you return stronger, wiser, more rooted. Not because you never left, but because you found your way back. Your ego will try to shame the forgetting. Your mind will say you should be further by now, but your soul knows the truth. This path was always about devotion, not perfection. So come back tired, come back messy, come back mid-doubt, just come back. God doesn't require you to stay centered 100% of the time. He simply asks that you remember where home is, and that you know how to find your way there. Spiritual maturity isn't in how long you stay aligned. It's in how quickly you return when you're not. That's the real victory, the rhythm of return, the grace of remembering. If this message stirred something in you, something quiet, something real, then that was the universe speaking. Not through noise, but through resonance. Remember, you don't need to chase signs or force answers. You just need to get still enough to hear what's already being whispered to you. The divine doesn't shout, it aligns. And the moment you match that frequency, the clarity you've been waiting for starts to find you. If this resonated, give the video a like. It helps this message reach others who are ready to listen too. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss these soul-level reminders. Now I want to hear from you. Comment below. I'm ready to hear clearly. Let the universe know that your channel is open and your soul is listening. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and trust that the voice you've been waiting for has been waiting for you.